I finally finished the blacksmith shop. Let's go check it out. So this is my tiny blacksmith shop. It took a lot of doing to be able to put a forge inside a small space like this and to be able to do blacksmithing safely. Try to give you the best look I could possibly can. The space is only 33 square feet. 33 square feet. I'll go over all the safety issues that I tackled, and I've actually done a bunch of tests, and I've done a little forging in here. Old roofing material from my dad's barn. My walls are soundproof. I used rock wool. Great for soundproofing, and also it's rated for, I think, around 2300-ish degrees. So what I did with the floor is I took a couple of visits to my local scrapyard and I picked out plate steel, different sizes, and then I just kind of fit them together until the entire floor was covered.
Works.
So a little bit about my forge. It's an old rivet forge. I actually had to use a brake drum in it, so I guess I'm calling it brake drum rivet forge. There's my brake drum, and I also cut out this metal ring to act like a shelf to keep the coals all nice and neat and not falling into the forge itself. Worked out really well. The best piping that you can have in a blacksmith shop is a 12-inch pipe straight up. They say you can go to 10, and even if you have to, down to an 8, but it really needs to be a straight shot. That's not my setup. What I did is I go from an 8-inch pipe down to a 6-inch, which is the metal bestis that goes through the shed opening. How did I get it to draft and no smoke to come in my tiny little space? Well, what I discovered is if you close the opening around your fire and prevent a lot of the ambient air to mix with the hot air from the fire, you can get a good draft even through the wacky setup that I have. I get almost zero smoke coming back in, and I mean like zero. I did it. I had bent these pieces of metal. That closes my opening. And it worked out well. All right, so I guess an important question is, how do I do this in this tiny space without suffocating or dying of smoke inhalation? Asphyxiation. This is a bathroom fan. This goes in the windowsill. And this little ghetto piece is just to be able to direct the oxygen, the airflow wherever I want. I can, since it's so close to the forge, I could have it blowing on the forge, or I could have it blowing right on me. Then I drill the hole, use this tin can, and what I do is I attach tubing to this, to my hand crank blower, so as I'm feeding the fire, it's sucking in oxygen from the outside to burn the coals. So nothing interior, my oxygen is not being burned up, and I am still alive to prove it. Picked up this non-contact laser heat sensor, and what I do is I constantly check the temperature of the outside of the forge. I check the black pipes, the metal bestis pipe that goes through the shed, and I also use my heat sensor to make sure that I can always glance up and see the temperature of that. And I've also put a little kail wool around it. I don't think it's doing much, but it is a little added extra protection. So the shed needs a little bit of electricity. Obviously I'm doing this at night. It would be nice to have some lighting in here, which I do. I have a power cord that goes from my pull equipment, which is about 20-25 feet away, extension cord running to this power strip. Now I have it running that to another power strip just to have a few extra outlets. I'm really not plugging much in here. My radio, my light, and over here I have the life support system hooked up. It's been working out. It's been working. I'm not going to run a plasma cutter in here, that's for sure, but for simple lighting, it's working. So when I did a bunch of the heat tests, when I felt comfortable with how everything was working with the forge and the safety with the oxygen and all that, I eventually got the forge hot enough. I was just messing around, just doing I did a taper to a little ugly scroll. Here I was attempting to do one of those leaf hooks. This is my first leaf shape. Let's be honest, it's horrible. I also was able to, I mean, look, they're just totally off-centered. They're like cockeyed. Totally off-centered. But just wanted to show and prove to you guys that I was able to get this up to temperature to be able to punch holes through metal. And I think this is 3/8 inch. Was able to, now look, I know it's not huge. I'm not going to be forging entrance gates to mansions here. I just want to do a little, like, I love the bottle openers. It's more the decorative stuff. I want to pound metal. I want to do art. This is what I'm part of my show. My channel is all about creating art with metal, you know, the welding, casting. This is a very limiting setup. It's 33 square feet. I'm realistic here, what I can and cannot do. And I think that is a plus, because I built something to my needs, not what other people think a blacksmith shop should be, as long as it's done safely. And even though I did it safely, you better be careful if you try this kind of setup. If you have limitations, you can work around it. Just be smart about it. Just be smart. Look, this is what I'm doing. It's crapola, but it'll get better. World's tiniest and quietest blacksmith shop is essentially open for business. In all intents and purposes, I have proven that I can do this safely. I am psyched. Evil Twin X did this. Took forever, but I did it. Anyway, guys, I am looking forward to trying to do a couple of small beginner blacksmith projects here to sharpen my skills. Listen, I always say, if I can do this, you can do this. I'm telling you, you can. You can do this. Because I am the guy who measures twice, cuts once, and it's still messed up. I don't know. It's always like that. But I can do it. You can do it. I made this to make things like this. Okay? Evil Twin X saying so long. Work with metal. It's awesome.